All right. Okay. Welcome everyone to season 3, episode 12. I call this one "Spinning the Flywheel." Since we're getting the first iterations of the system in place. So, with that in mind, let's get straight into it. So last week was essentially, I can't believe I didn't write it, but we managed to ship the first protocol specific score, or the first score, which was the ARCx loyalty score. And although it felt like maybe a bit of a minor thing, like, oh, it's just a loyalty score, it's a really, really big achievement because now we have all the infrastructure to just like push out scores. So we actually have entire pipeline of scores we want to push out. And this, I guess, to dumb it down, equals marketing. Because we can now do kind of co-marketing with a bunch of communities by creating scores for them and really start showcasing what we've been doing for the past few months. And there's still the thing around utility, but we actually believe the first utility is the social utility of being able to basically compare yourself and seek status or virtue signal. Like that scores ARCx loyalty score channel, that was a really interesting product loop to see play out because we saw the theme of people saying, I'm better than this many percent of the population. So if we can get that same loop and basically do it for the magnitude of scores in the Metacred universe, that's really powerful. So that was that. We also finished off the business offside, so there are plenty of improvements we want to make on product, marketing, strategy, and integrations, and all of this will be more available soon. And that was kind of like thematically what we focused on last week. And this week we're going to essentially be finishing off improvements to make the app more usable and friendly. So we've got like responsiveness and a couple other tweaks. And then we've got the next kind of major feature being passport accessibility. So currently, as you know, the passport is fairly inaccessible. You have to apply, you have to buy ARC tokens, you have to then approve them, you then stake them, and then you claim your passport, maybe another step in between. So it's about 4 to 5 transactions on Ethereum mainnet can balloon costs of getting a passport to north of $500,000. So that's obviously not ideal. And what we're going to be doing is making passports free and making them instantly accessible for a lot of users. We've got communications around existing passport users that will be launching in the coming days and weeks. So hold off, stay tuned for that announcement. And then there's more basically writing specs for upcoming products to make sure the engineering team has everything they need. And there's this new piece which I'm going to be embarking on, which is narrative building for something new. So still synthesizing thoughts, and I'm going to probably reach out to individual community members here to share my thoughts on this new narrative and like how I'm planning to build it out, or how we are. But it's something that I'm going to be taking more of a lead on. And then in terms of shoutouts, Liam and Hugh and Kale for the exhaustive week of synthesizing a lot of chaos currently present. So we had just these insane days, would work for like 3-4 hours at a time, break, and then rinse and repeat until our brains got fried at night. So all that work was super valuable, and really excited to showcase that out into the broader DAO as we make progress. So challenges, integrating product data and business teams together as one cohesive larger team. The way we've been operating is kind of individual teams, and I've been kind of stringing the teams together, but now it's integrating everyone more closely together. And then de-risking assumptions for products we want to build in the future. So there's a ton of stuff we want to build, and we have assumptions around why we want to build those. So over the coming days and weeks is going to be de-risking the assumptions that are more further out. But for the next like 4 day weeks, we're pretty certain on what exactly needs to be built and why. With that being said, I'll pass it over to Kyle for engineering.
Yeah, thanks, Termin. So exactly, last week we launched a score builder. There was a surprising amount of things that needed to align for us to ship it out. It's all aligned very well. I was very skeptical on the amount. I was skeptical on the lack of things that broke, which is a good thing. So everything went really well. Everything was very smooth. We also improved some UX stuff. The responsiveness and the bug fixes are currently being tested as we speak, so we're going to have that out within the next 24 hours. Yeah, within the next 24 hours, so that'll be out. Small minor things. And yeah, we also did some massive planning for architectural improvements, like Herman mentioned. Lots of cool things happening this week. So passports are going to be free to claim. We're going to refund the original ARCx that was staked by everyone that already has a passport, obviously. So there's no more wait lists. There's no more waiting to mint your passports. We're removing all that friction. Yeah, it'll be really cool to see the numbers accelerate much faster and see the flywheel really spin out of control, or spin in control. We'll see. So shout outs to Kermit, Liam, and Hugh. Last week they were crazy contributions, planning, and it was really exciting to talk to them every single day. So massive props there. And also props to Kale. He pushed the needle big time last week on the score builder. I can't recall the amount of times that I would go to bed, sync with Kale, wake up, sync with Kale, and then like it just kept going. So that was awesome. I really enjoy working with you also, Kale. So it's a ton of fun. The challenges that we're working through. So we want to smoothly display all the new scores. We have lots of new scores in the pipeline. And in our testing environment, we're seeing like all of these things being displayed. And like, okay, how do we, go from 1 score to 5 score to 50 score to X amount of scores? So that's something that we're working through. And also we have lots of integrations with the Titan worlds that are going to be updated now that we're making the passports easier to claim. So we want to make sure that we check all the boxes there. Yep, that's pretty much it for engineering.
Cool, sweet. Let's pass it over to Kel on the data side.
Cool. Thank you for the shout out. I love being showered in praise. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So last week, there's some stuff I've realized I've omitted here, so I'll kind of talk ad lib for some of it. But last week, we were actually parsing in some new data sets. So we had one of the ML engineers, Stuart, if anyone's following the law of ARCx, was doing an analysis on the credit score. And we were realizing that the data sets that we were using weren't that heavily used by our passport holders. So we did a retrospective analysis and said, what are all of our passport holders using in their DeFi activity? And the ones we saw pop up were Aave and Crane. So we decided to pull those in. So that got pulled in last week, and that's being pulled into the credit score. So that's very, very cool. It increases the amount of information we have to make an educated decision as to what someone's risk is. So that was very, very cool. Final integration and staging of new custom scores. So I've been working with Liam and Hugh and Kerman around custom scores, like protocol scores for some of our partner DAOs and getting them staged up. So they should be staged now and just doing some final kind of touch-ups. And the last thing that happened last week was configuration of the risk analysis of the Borrow platform. I actually have a slide in a second I'll show you about there. One of the other engineers, Sonia, has been working on that, which is very cool. This week, more custom score building. This is just, again, where I want to move the needle at ARCx. So making more protocol scores, making more native scores, getting that up, start pushing them. We have all that infrastructure in place. Why not start pumping them, kind of thing? Other stuff that's less sexy, but equally as important, kind of like brushing your teeth, is monitoring, testing, co-promotion for the data guys, where that's something we still need to work on and still get better at. So that's something that I'm going to continue to push within the squad. And then other thing is just unwinding technical debt in the data warehouse. So, we're looking at trying to get very literally a order of magnitude drop in costs. So, let's say as an example, instead of costing $100, will cost $10. That's kind of what we're looking for. Shout outs. So the data guys are now fully established. We've got the team built out and they're all moving really quickly and they're learning a lot. And there's a lot to pick up as a data person, both from an engineering perspective, but also integrating with like the web world and integrating with the contracts world. And there's often an assumption that data is kind of, for lack of a better word, easy, and it's very kind of simple, but it's quite complicated. And there's a lot of depth under it. So they're basically learning 3 stacks simultaneously, figuring how to integrate everything. So big shout out to the data guys for trying so hard on that and moving so quickly. And the business guys, so Kerman, Liam, Hugh, there's been that push from me to just make sure that we're understanding a bit more what's going on from the product perspective. And you guys have listened and helped out a lot there. And it's making a big difference for me, making a big difference for the data guys. So much appreciated. Challenges. So as I mentioned, with improving internal monitoring and testing, developer workflows and best practices are still things we need to work through. We have been up to this point kind of just moving as we need to and doing things as we need to, but we're starting to need to get a bit more structure as the team grows. And then lastly is just streamlining the custom score iterations. So there's still a little bit of friction when we create a new score and get that to Liam and get that to Hugh and Kerman, and just want to streamline that a little bit more so that it's a case of if there's a change requested, we can turn it around in like a few hours rather than a few days kind of thing. That's my update. Kerman, can I get you to jump to the next slide? So I always talk about we're doing these risk analyses and we're kind of doing all this stuff in the background. And I know the work is so abstract. So I thought I'll just take some exports from one of our engineers. She's been basically looking at our risk simulations and seeing how closely do they match reality, how close are they matching real distributions, and some of the axes have been omitted and things just for alpha reasons. But this is kind of some of the outputs that we're looking at. So our systems are starting to look right, they're starting to match distributions. Some of the assumptions we're making are starting to make a lot more sense. So again, just leaking a bit of alpha that we are doing stuff internally. It's just very, very abstract. So hopefully it makes sense. That's it. Liam.
Cool.
Thank you. So yeah, like I suppose to recap from last week. Last week was a very different week. It's been touched on already. So thematically, really, Kerman, Hugh, and I did an offsite. We also kidnapped Kale at a certain point during the week. And yeah, the focus of this was really just to overhaul how we look at shipping product, how we gather customer evidence and communicate with the market. And we've all sort of made a conscious effort to start meeting with more people in the community. In the same way that I've had a way that I've been looking at how I approach working with protocols and projects, and have sort of set myself goals of the number of projects I should be meeting with each week. I'm now setting a goal of how active I actually am meeting with people and interacting with the community as well. And this is something that's going to keep ramping and probably be a really dominant part of what I do. And I'll touch more on this approach as well when I go through to the challenges section. This week, really, it's more about gathering customer evidence. So what's been happening from the output of last week is that Kerman, Hugh, and I have formed, I suppose, a business team in the sense that we are sort of catching up more regularly. We're meeting in person more. We've been thinking of getting a sort of a little co-working space to meet once a week or twice a week as well. And really, the structure that's emerged from the offsite is discussions around, removing risky assumptions we have around product we want to ship, in the next month or so, ahead of the things currently being executed. And so there's some internal things that are happening there that's going to make things move a lot faster and our product hit a lot harder in the market. So great. So as some of the things have been mentioned, a lot of the new custom scores have come out, and I've got them in a staging environment that I'm going to be demoing. So really what this has catalyzed is there's been two protocol scores that have been run through Score Builder. I'm getting anointed with the blessing of each of those protocols to essentially go out and sort of co-release this together, which is very exciting. Really off the back of this as well, it's given me the ability to do a full product demo for the first time and actually take different projects through our product experience. So this is make me quite busy on Telegram and catching up with a lot of different projects this week. Now I've got this because it's been something that a lot of projects have been wanting to see. They're wanting me to make it real for them, sell them the vision. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing this week. We're also going to be testing a new approach for engaging projects via Twitter. So one of the big things that I'm realizing is that to truly scale to the level that we want, it's great that we get to a point where maybe we have 2-3 projects coming online in a week, but really to scale we almost want to have completely covered the CoinGecko list and be a component of all of their communities. And that sounds sort of crazy, but really that's where we're going to be. That's the goal that we've set for ourselves. And to do that, that means that the BD process needs to scale, and it needs to almost look something like a content business in a way. So there's more work to be done there, and we're going to definitely be touching on some new approaches and testing something, and I'll look at that a little bit more in the challenges section here. So I wanted to do a big shout out for the dream team, the double K, the Kyle, the Kale, the guys that make the things happen in relation to Score Builder. So thank you for getting that out. I am an absolute nightmare to work with in terms of just chaos energy. So there's value to it, but there's also as it comes into the product, creating a system that sort of supports something that is evolving in terms of how we engage with customers and the Score Builder process. Having that system end to end built is awesome. So thank you for holding my hand through the process, Kyle and Kale, and making it so successful. So we've got yeah, it's going to be great. So I just wanted to shout out, thank you for that. And then yeah, in terms of challenges, I think really it's just getting the first bunch of scores out. That's happening now. The hard work's been done, and I just need to get that done this week. And then really building awareness in a more permissionless manner. And this is something I've sort of touched upon in terms of scaling public awareness, scaling BD. It's also at the moment I'm sort of asking for permission in a way from different projects that we have sort of engaged and built scores for. In the future, we're going to be testing approaches where we just build a score for a community and then try to engage them in a way that has less friction. So more to discuss there, but really looking forward to that as well. And yeah, that's everything from me.
Cool. Thanks for that, Liam. Over to you, Hugh.
Sweet. Thank you. Cool. So last week, as was mentioned, was a big planning week for the business stream. And that planning has been kind of like culminated in various process improvements, as well as a bit of like a clearer sort of synthesis around what our like product roadmap might look like. On the process side, we sort of upgraded how we are operationalizing new scores. So ideas that come through, building them out, defining them, and then handing them over to engineering. Also wanted to just call out that like we're trying to be more kind of customer led as well. So we have like set up a bit of a process to capture those insights and then burn down our riskiest assumptions. And the other thing that was focus of last week was publishing ARCx loyalty score comms, as well as you would have seen on the Discord a new channel pop up, which is all around discussing the design of the score itself. So as we launch new scores, that part of the Discord will grow, and we encourage everyone to think about how these scores are being designed and provide a point of view if you have like differing thoughts on it. This week the focus is really going to be on thinking through, so like one of the big feature or product updates will be updated pricing for the passport, as Kerman mentioned. So we wanted to put some comms out to explain what that would mean for both new users as well as existing passport holders. I've got a personal KPI also of setting up 3 custom scores, progressing those into dev. I've made a bit of progress already on 2 of them, and I've got an idea for a pretty like memey one, which is going to be pretty fun. So that will be up in the dev environment, hopefully in the next in the next week. And then thirdly, I'm going to continue working with Kerman and the product team on upcoming sprints. So things like writing requirements, briefing our designers, and so on. In terms of shout out, Kale, thanks for helping me navigate score building. We literally sat down on Friday and walked through YAML and SQL. So I'm no developer, but I feel like half confident now that I can write something that may be useful. So thank you very much for teaching me. And in terms of challenges, I think it's as we kind of emerge from this planning week, now we have this extensive list of things that we've got to do. The really big challenge for us is actually just getting ahead of execution and giving ourselves breathing room. And then kind of associated with that, or very specifically on the score side, as we think about expanding the number of scores that we're going to be offering on the app, like what does that mean? What are the implications for the product experience? And so I'll be thinking through, like what are the different variations of scores we could upload, and then what's the model that unifies all of these across, like in a systemic. This is just a really abstract way, but it's more like of a design consideration. But yeah, that will be it for me.
Cool. I think that's the end of the community call today. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Really excited for the next few weeks. Like, we've done a ton of hard work building out a bunch of infrastructure. Now we can really put that infrastructure to work and get back more vocal in the wider community. So thank you all for tuning in, and look forward to the coming week ahead. See you. Bye.